Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. For those for the first time on my channel, my name is Zach. I'm 21 years old Russian who left Russia because of the war against Ukraine. And today I'm making this urgent video. It's actually 4 a.m. right now. And I have to tell you about so many news that happened today, so many things which happened today in Russia. There are many things to discuss. So firstly, we're going to discuss new laws about mobilization in Russia. Secondly, it's going to be about referendums in Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic and occupied territories by Russia and Ukraine. The index of Moscow market lost about 10% today, and we'll discuss why. Lukashenko, or so-called cockroach from Belarus, decided to join the war against Ukraine. At least he's saying that they are ready. We're also going to discuss the speech that Putin prepared for Russians in the next couple of hours. United States will give frozen money of Russian Federation to Ukraine, answering the referendum. Advisor of Biden on national security tells about possible mobilization in Russia. Russians Google how to leave Russia. Immigrants in Russia will go to the army, and more conscripts are being sent to the border with Ukraine. So we'll start with changes to the law. Russian authorities are starting to use the terminology of mobilization, which didn't exist in Russian law before, and also wartime. If you voluntarily surrender to the potential enemy, which is Ukrainian army, it's kind of obvious, you can go to jail up to 10 years. I don't really understand the voluntary surrender. Like, if you just wave a white flag, how do they say that it's not voluntary and what's voluntary? That's kind of stupid. For looting and raping locals, you can go to jail up to 15 years. But I guess there were some articles that already kind of told that you go to jail for this. For desertion, they doubled the time you can be sent to jail for, from 7 years maximum, as it used to be before the changes, up to 15 years. If you desert alone, it's a smaller number of years that you can be sent to jail for, but if you desert with a bunch of people, like you discuss it in advance with a group of people, that's actually a worse case scenario for you. If you don't follow the order of your captain, like somebody who's up rank in your military, and if you refuse to fight in a war times, like officially war times, you can be sent to jail up to 3 years. Actually, not bad. I was thinking it's going to be worse. So if you just refuse to go to fight to Ukraine, as a conscript, for example, you can be only sent to the jail for 3 years. I'm saying only, but actually 3 years, that's already enough to kind of broke your life. Also, if you are a reservist, like you already been to the conscriptional army and you already left this army, because all of the men in Russia from aged 18 to 27, they have to go through the conscript army, and I got a bunch of friends who've been there, and so they are in a reserve. And if you are being a reservist and a military office, they just send a paper that you have to come to the military office for some kind of like documentation check. Of course, it's like quotes. They're gonna like make you to sign a contract to fight in Ukraine, and if you're not coming, that's a felony case basically. So you can go just to jail for not showing up in a military office. And most of the people, they are somehow connected to the military office, and I'm connected myself to the military office. I've been there a couple of times, and then they called me to kind of make some check-in. Even before the war, maybe they were preparing, I don't know. So I got a bunch of friends who already got the papers just to come for check-in, and basically since today, or actually tomorrow, they can go to jail for not showing up at that military office, which is crazy. It was just funny, this is freaking Russia. Like, they are trying to pretend democracy, and they have been trying it for many years, and they are trying to do that all by law. And basically, they passed all of those laws in the parliament, but only in a lower part of our parliament. So basically, our parliament is divided into parts. That's governmental Duma and a federation Soviet, like Federation Council. And basically, all that laws they've already been passed in the lower bracket. And guess what? 100% of every lower parliament voted for yes for this new laws. So I guess they are all can be claimed guilty once Putin is over and everything. And it's funny, it's never happened, I think, that they've passed all that laws like in one day, because there are three stages of reading changes to the law. And basically there are three stages and they used to be in different days, at least like in a week. But here they literally accepted all of the stages in one day, in less than a couple of hours. And this is scary, they are literally preparing for something really urgently. Nothing like this happened before. This is so stupid that those laws, they haven't been through the higher part of our parliament yet. But on a Duma website, the parliament website, it's already said that that law already made through all of the stages and was signed by Putin, even though officially there were no higher parliament discussions and signature by Putin. And what I want to mention about those parliament members, I just want to mention that those parliament members are not elected by Russian people. There are no elections, and there used to be no elections in Russia since 90s, like on any level. So basically, those are the people who not represent the opinion of the majority of Russians. Even maybe like the rest, majority, they support the war, they used to support it, but they hate the parliament members. That's true for sure. Nobody gonna argue with this. So we're going to referendum part. Occupational administration of Kherson region, which was occupied by Russia since the start of the war, 24th of February. They said that they're gonna apply to become part of Russia, to provide a referendum. Also, the occupational head of Kherson region in his speech told that we used to be part of Russia and Russian Empire. I don't know why he skipped the Soviet part. I guess not many people gonna be happy about it. He said, we're going to join Russia soon and we're gonna make voluntarily battalions to fight against Ukraine. You know how it works in those territories, like occupied territories, voluntarily battalions. That's just funny. We know there is no volunteers to fight against its own country. Also, the head of Duma, which is a lower bracket of our parliament, Volodin, he said that if citizens of Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic will vote for joining Russia, we will support them. And he was so aggressive in his speech. I just heard a really, really big aggression. I think he's not doing well because Russia is losing.
Свободного волеизъявления.
Also, the head of Zaporozhye, that's a region in Ukraine, in the south, which is occupied right now. 73% of this region is occupied by Russia. The head of the occupational administration said that we're gonna have a referendum over there because we wanna join Russia. So all the referendums in Kherson Oblast, in Zaporozhye, in Luhansk People's Republic, and Donetsk People's Republic gonna happen from 23rd of September to 27th. This is an official statement. And that's crazy because, today's already 21st. They are just going to be having it in 2 days without no preparation. How can you prepare a referendum, like a real referendum, in like 2 days? I'm not even saying about the official status of this so-called referendums. We all know that's bullshit. Like, what kind of referendums can you have in the occupied territories? You just invade other country and you have referendums. That's just crazy. Speaking of market in Russia, all news affected it a lot. So today the Moscow index lost 8.8% like in one day, less than 24 hours, and this is the biggest fall of Russian market since the 24th of February, because 24th of February, when Russia invaded Ukraine, Russian market lost about 33.3%. So today is a really big downfall for the Russian market. Cockroach joining the war. You may ask who is a cockroach, and I'll answer simply Lukashenko. That's how the oppositionary Belarusians used to call their dictator. So Lukashenko said they need to prepare the society and everything for the wartime. He said that not only regular forces have to be prepared for any kind of military actions, but also militia. I don't know by what does he mean about militia, because there is no such a thing officially. So I guess he's just gonna ask for people who are not serving in the army to join like militia, like voluntarily battalions, and they're gonna then be sent to Ukraine. So there are huge chances that Belarus can join the war. So I think Putin just saying to Lukashenko, hey, you just my puppet, and without me, you would be nobody, you would be already killed. So you have to do at least something to help me to win this war. And Belarus is not a big country. They don't have a lot of resources, but that's a really oppressive regime, and they can get a lot of people by oppressive means. So I'm really afraid Belarus can join the war. I hope it's not gonna happen, but there are some signs that shows it can happen. So yesterday, September 20th, federal channels and many pro-Kremlin Telegram channels, they announced a Putin speech on TV channels at the evening of the September 20th. Firstly, they actually were late for 2 hours and people were waiting for the speech for a long time. Many of them were really anxious what this motherfucker gonna tell us about Ukraine and everything. But at the end of the day, they just said that this speech is gonna be out next morning. I don't know, that's just funny how they are so bad structured. Like literally, they cannot even publish a speech, which is already recorded, I'm pretty sure. They are just not well organized. Even the freaking speech. So what do you what do you want from Russian army? You don't want anything from Russian army. But I'm saying to this Z supporters, they cannot even make a public speech like on time. What do you want from them? My guess is what's gonna be the speech about. I guess it's gonna be about referendums in all of the territories and Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, and also it's gonna be maybe about mobilization. There are different rumors about it, either it's going to be mobilization or not, but that's quite complicated. Meanwhile, the Justice Department of the US applied to the Congress to transfer frozen Russian money to Ukraine. We're speaking about $300 billion which were frozen since the start of the war by the US, and those are the Russian money or the money of the Russian oligarchs that could be sent to the war basically. Transferring that money is kind of like an answer to the referendums that Russia announced in Ukraine. The assistant to the president for national security affairs, Jake Sullivan, told that Putin has two purposes. Firstly, to have referendums, which is going to be like an answer to the success of Ukrainian military in Kharkiv direction. And the second purpose is having a mobilization in Russia. He didn't say it's going to be a total mobilization and didn't tell about partly mobilization. So we don't know what kind of mobilizations he means. Since the start of the war, or even before that, the US predicted many things which are gonna happen in Ukraine. I really kind of trust the opinion of the assistant to the president for national security affairs. It's not just somebody from the streets. So I trust the Jake Sullivan's opinion about possibility of mobilization. I hope it's not gonna happen, but who knows. Today, billions of people Googled many things, but Russians especially started to Google how to leave Russia. So after the announcement of the speech of Putin, Russians started to Google how to leave Russia 4 times more than they did before. They also started to Google 10 times more the words mobilization and how to avoid conscription. So many people right now, they want to leave Russia. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that or not, because I already told that leaving Russia is kind of like a privilege once you have an online job. I'm really happy that I left Russia quite early at the start of the March. So the 24th of February, the war started, and already in a week, I left Russia to Azerbaijan and then to Georgia. All my friends whom I asked, why didn't you leave? Because you have the opportunity, they are saying that we are planning on leaving. We just needed to wait for something. And I guess that's a big call to leave it right now. Russia wants to send immigrants to the war. In the lower bracket of the Russian parliament, which is called Duma, a new law was passed and is basically making it easy for the immigrants to get a Russian citizenship if they serve in the military for 1 year. I don't know who the hell wants to get a Russian citizenship right now. There are still many immigrants in Russia, especially from Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, who wants to get a Russian citizenship. And before this whole law, they could get a citizenship for serving in the military for 5 years. So, that's a big time for serving in the military just to get this citizenship. They decided to change it, get a lot of immigrants just to go to fight to Ukraine against Ukrainians, so they would become citizens of Russia. Well, some people are really in trouble if they are ready to go to fight in Ukraine to die for what purposes, like imperialistic ideas of Putin, just to get the opportunity to get yourself a Russian citizenship. There are hundreds of thousands immigrants from Uzbekistan and Tajikistan in Russia. Some of them are really living in bad conditions. So I guess there's gonna be people who gonna fall for this. Mayor of Moscow, Sergei Sobyanin, he claimed that today in Moscow they are starting to build the infrastructure in the center helping to immigrants, which is called Sakharova. And they're gonna build infrastructure helping the Ministry of Defense to draft immigrants so they would get a citizenship. So basically, they're just gonna be drafting immigrants and trying to to show them that there are some advantages of serving in the Russian military. Of course, they're not going to tell them that you're going to fight against Ukrainians. They're just going to say you're going to be serving somewhere like in the south, not in Ukraine. But this is how it usually goes. They just send you fake info, and then they just send you as cannon meat to Ukraine. Russia started to send a lot of conscripts to the south, to the border with Ukraine. Before recent news, there were cases of conscripts fighting against Ukraine, but those were more like rumors, and we've seen like captured videos like by Ukrainian soldiers, captured Russian soldiers, given in interviews, and there were a couple of conscripts. But it was not like the massive number. But since recently there are many rumors of conscripts are being sent to Ukraine, to the south border with Ukraine. At least the mother committee of conscripts, they tell that some conscripts from St. Petersburg are being sent to the south border, like the past couple of weeks. By law, it's actually prohibited to send any conscripts to the war. Of course, we know nobody follow the law, and there are already cases conscripts who haven't even been serving in the Russian military for 3 months. They didn't even have the basic training. They don't know how to shoot AK. They are being sent to Ukraine already. By the official statistics, Russian military have about 250,000 conscripts serving in the military right now and every year. Those are the people aged from 18 to 27, kind of the potential of Russia, and Putin is just gonna send them to die. I'm really sorry for those guys. Because most of them, they don't know nothing about life yet. They haven't been experienced anything except like high school, university, and then serving in the military. So, and they can be potentially sent to the war against Ukraine. So the things are getting worse and worse. Even though I was busy today, but all the time I couldn't just not look at my phone just to check the news. And every hour there was something worse and worse and worse. And we were expecting to see the Putin speech on the TV, but he just delayed it. I think really dark times coming to Russia. I hope that Ukraine will be able to solve all that things that comes to happen. I'm not sure about mobilization, if it's gonna happen or not, but there are some signs of it. I'm really afraid of it. They are starting to use the term mobilization in law, which didn't happen before. So we'll see what happens. But for now, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was Zach the Russian. I hope this war will end soon, even though there are signs which are showing the opposite. So, stop Putin, stop the war.